This tip represents a huge change in our training material in the last year. We're thinking differently about certain kinds of questions than we did for most of our careers, and differently than the way that we usually hear Christian apologists teach. We think that you should almost never make arguments with question marks on them. We think that you should use questions to seek clarification, and you should do that a lot. But when it's time for you to make your argument, we think that you should do that with a statement instead. I'm not just talking about obnoxious leading questions like, when did you stop beating your wife? Obviously, you shouldn't do that. I'm saying any argument is going to be more persuasive to most people if you make that argument with a period instead of a question mark. I'm also not telling you what you should do in a formal debate setting. Arguments with question marks are very rhetorically powerful. They sort of give you an I've got the high ground position, which is exactly why you shouldn't use them in a dialogue. Because in a dialogue, that kind of powerful rhetorical move will actually work against you if your goal is to change this person's mind. Question marks are powerful, and the impact that they have on a person's psyche will affect the conversation. Let me tell you a little bit about why we've come to this conclusion. We've become convinced in the last couple of years that in almost every case of a person changing their mind about something significant, a necessary condition of them changing their mind was that they felt emotionally safe. There's a really natural dynamic that happens when two people get into an argument, even a fairly friendly argument about a controversial issue like abortion. They go into it with this mindset of, how do I win this argument? This person's going to make arguments at me, and that person's arguments are obviously wrong because I'm right, and so how do I defeat their arguments? And when two people get into the argument with that kind of mindset, the chances of either of them making a very strong impact on each other's views is really low. When I start making arguments against abortion, I'm operating under the assumption that their shields are up, that they have that emotional posture of feeling defensive, about feeling like they've got to fight for their view and fight against my arguments, and that's going to make them less receptive to the force of my arguments. Instead of thinking about whether or not my argument defeats their argument, they're focused on preventing my argument from defeating their argument. Because I want them to actually change their mind, I don't want to just win the argument. I need to be focused not just on how the arguments interact with each other at the idea level, but how do I help this person to feel emotionally safe? How do I help this person feel like this is more reminiscent of them talking to a friend, where they would actually be more receptive to that person's ideas? This is one of the reasons body language is so important. The difference between a physical posture that says that we're fighting versus a physical posture that says we're on the same team is huge. We're not on opposite teams. We're on the same team trying to find truth together. So all of these little things that we're doing, from our body language to the kinds of questions we don't ask to listening well, the overall effect of those things when executed well is to lower their shields, to change their emotional posture from being defensive to receptive. I want to be very clear. When I say emotional safety, I'm not talking about the kind of sensitivity that we're starting to see more often on college campuses. Like, there have been some just crazy cases. One example from last year, Brandeis University, an Asian American student body association, puts together an exhibit, an installation where they're going to try to educate their campus about what they called microaggressions against Asian Americans. So they had like phrases that they didn't like things like, I thought you would be good at math. So they put all of these different phrases on this installation. They set it up on the steps of one of the buildings on the campus. The problem is there were some other Asian American students on the campus that felt that the display against microaggressions was itself a microaggression, and they got really upset. So there's this backlash, and then the president of the student body association had to take it down and send an email to the entire student body apologizing for anyone who is triggered or hurt by the microaggressions. This isn't the kind of emotional safety that I'm talking about. And I'm also not saying let's be wimpy about telling hard truths to people. I'm saying let's not be idiots in the way that we present hard truths to people. It is foolish and short-sighted to just blast people with the truth with no thought as to how they're going to respond to it. The gracious, sensitive person speaking truth is far more likely to make a positive impact than the abrasive, thoughtless person speaking the same truth. We aren't recommending people make arguments with question marks anymore unless they've built a lot of rapport with people, and here's why. It can make people feel like they're being Socratized. You know, Socrates would do this thing where he'd ask a lot of questions, but he was clearly directing the conversation to go a certain way. And what we've noticed is that people don't like that. They might feel manipulated. You might not be trying to manipulate them or manipulate the conversation, but they still might feel like they're being led around, and that can harm the conversation. What's been interesting is I've been telling some of our donors about this lately, and I've had people in different occupations tell me that their occupation, they've been learning the same thing. I had a salesman tell me that they've been learning they can't ask questions that seem like leading questions because it makes the other person not trust them. It makes them feel manipulated. They just have to build a relationship with people and get the person to trust that they just want what's best for them, and if they're going to try to sell them on a product, it's actually going to help them. I also had a family therapist tell me that when she does couples counseling, she really tries to have the husband and wife not ask each other questions that feel like they're leading questions, because it could just really harm the conversation. Asking questions with the intent of forcing people to change their mind can cause their walls to go up. And we don't want to do that because they already have walls up before we get to them. A lot of our arguments and the way that we think about dialogue tips are organized around trying to get around those walls. And so here's what happens is we go up and if we ask questions that cause their walls to go up, we have a double problem. It's like that scene in Return of the Jedi when they're trying to get into the station at Endor, right? And so R2-D2 is going to hack into the thing and the door is going to open up, but then R2-D2 gets shot, so he's out. So Han Solo shrugs and says, I guess I'll hotwire it because I guess the Galactic Empire is using the same technology as old cars. And so he starts working with these wires, and then like there's this gag moment where he gets the wrong wires and the second wall comes down. That's what we do when we get to people who already have their walls up and we start asking them questions that make them feel like they're being led around, and then a second wall comes down. We have a new attitude about our conversations, and that's we're going to try to play the worst game of poker ever. We're just going to put all of our cards face up on the table. Let me explain with a story. Last year, Tim and I had 15 meetings with the same Mormons in my living room. I'd never studied Mormonism before. I'd never read the Book of Mormon before. Just one Saturday, these three guys showed up on my door and they wanted to talk about Jesus. It's like, what else could we do? So we let them in. I had a great conversation with them. And then after that, I started having Tim come in for all of those. And we had a bunch of just great meetings. The meetings, something like 11 through 13, we had these 3 meetings about the Trinity. This was an interesting experience for us because we would start trading around verses, like the most kind of obvious Bible verses about the Trinity. Like I've always thought Jesus' baptism, they're all there. Like it just seems like really obvious to me. Well, they've got their own way of explaining what's going on there. And so basically the first couple of meetings were just us throwing verses at each other. And we'd find out that both of us can explain those verses away based on our own presuppositions. And before and after each meeting, Tim and I would brief and debrief and try to talk about like how can these conversations go better. And we came up with a strategy. So what Tim said at the end of the second meeting, he said, okay, we're not ready to give up. We want to do at least one more meeting about the Trinity. So come back in a couple of weeks, but let's do this a different way. Like this doesn't seem very productive. Let's do this David and Goliath style. You bring your 2 strongest verses, we'll bring our 2 strongest verses, and we'll let them battle it out, and we'll see if maybe we can figure out who's got the best view. And because I want to show you that we're being transparent, we're not trying to pull anything on you, we'll give you our verses right now. Pull out a pen. And one of them, Ryan, pulls out a pad of paper and a pen so fast. I'd never seen it. I didn't even know he had that with him, but he pulled this thing out and he's ready to write down. And Tim gives him not only the references, but in syllogism form, how we're going to make this argument for the Trinity. And I was watching them as Tim was describing these arguments, and they were paying so close attention to they were hanging on every word that Tim said. Because the attitude here was not, we're going to, hide our arguments. It was, there's nothing up our sleeves. Like, here's everything we've got. Like, you don't do this if you're trying to win a debate. The presidential candidates are not sharing their notes with each other before they're doing a debate. But we don't think of this as a debate. This is a dialogue. We don't want to win the exchange just because the other person wasn't quick enough on their feet. We want to give them like as much advantage as possible. Here's everything that we're going to do next time. Now, you go home, Tim said, and you figure out what your 2 best verses are and what you want to say about our 2 strongest verses that we're going to talk about next time, and let's have a conversation about that. It's just a completely different approach to dialogue. We wouldn't do this if we weren't confident in our position. We're so confident that our arguments were actually better arguments that we didn't mind them taking several weeks and studying to figure out how they want to respond to our arguments. That's a good example of the kind of approach that we're taking in our dialogues now. We're just laying all of our cards face up on the table, and because we're really confident in the truth of our arguments, we're okay with people taking some time and researching them and then continuing the dialogue later. I was at Portland Community College last spring. We were there on April 20th, actually, 4/20. I don't know how every pot day I end up on a college campus, but campus smelled interesting. We talked to a lot of people that thought they were really philosophical. They were high. But anyway, so we're talking to people. It was a really good outreach day. And I ended up talking to this girl named Rebecca. I've actually got a picture of this exchange. She was really short. She was maybe 5'0". So I'm literally sitting down on her pool table. I'm trying to be at her eye line. I want her to see that I'm relaxed. And I'm asking her a lot of clarification questions. She was really pro-choice. And so I'm just asking her about her views and what does she mean by different things. And like a pro-life person could watch this and be like, would you just get to the point already? It's like, I'm taking my time. The people are complicated. I want to understand where they're coming from. And then I'm going to have a better chance of changing their mind later. So I'm asking her questions. And then Gabriel shows up, not the angel. Gabriel is the most obnoxious pro-life person I have ever spent time with on a college campus. And after about 12 years of full-time ministry, that says a lot. He's got this crew cut haircut. He's wearing this black leather trench coat like Neo in the Matrix, which I didn't even know was like in anymore. And he's got one expression on his face. He was there for about 4 hours. Every time I looked at Gabriel, he had the same expression on his face. An expression that said, I am the smartest person within 500 feet of this place. I'm gonna play with you for my amusement, mouse. Like that was his look. So he walks up, he sees there's this pro-life thing going on. He said he was part of the club, he's not part of the club. But he shows up, he sees there's this pro-life thing going on, and he walks directly on the other side of the pool table from Rebecca. And he gives her this condescending look and says, do you believe this? He kind of names something and, do you believe this stupid thing pro-choice people believe? Like questions like that. And I look at Rebecca and I can see her shut down. And I said, pause, let's have a meta discussion. Let's have a discussion about the discussion. I want to ask Rebecca a question. So I looked at Rebecca and said, all right, we're two white pro-life guys. Which of us is more likely to change their mind about abortion? And she immediately said, you. And I said, why? I want to know why. I'm weird. I'm really interested in persuasion. I want to understand, why did you say me? She said two things. She said, first, I like your body language. I'm sitting down, I'm relaxed. This guy is like directly across from her in this kind of fighting position. So she said, I like your body language. And then she said, and I like the kinds of questions you ask. I was only asking clarification questions, trying to understand her view. This guy was only asking these obnoxious leading questions, and she felt like she was being led somewhere. She was. She didn't know what was at the end of that tunnel, but she knew she was being led somewhere, and she shut down. Now, you can ask questions that aren't leading and obnoxious like that, but you can still have the effect of making the person feel like they're being led. If you're going to make your argument, don't do it with a question mark. Do it with a period at the end. Again, I'm not saying don't make arguments. Make arguments. But when you make those arguments, you will almost always be more persuasive if you end those arguments with a period instead of a question mark. If you're very skilled and you've built a lot of rapport with someone, you might be able to pull off making an argument with a question mark. I still do it occasionally. But if this is the first time you've talked to this person, I would encourage you to err on the side of caution. Just put your cards on the table. You don't need the rhetorical advantage. That's going to be far more persuasive to this person if you end your arguments with a period instead of a question mark.